even if it is going to help just me, even if it is just me that I am listening to all these journeys of different working athletes, I will still benefit. If others benefit through this, that would be a bonus. I needed to tell myself that because I wanted to stay consistent just for my sake. I promised myself that I will do this podcast and do an episode every week. Structured training would be that route between where you are now and where you want to go. If you are training for an event like Tour of Nilgiris, or if you are training for an event at BBCH or bar, a time trial or a road race, and if you want to train yourself to do well at a particular event, the route from where you are to where you want to go is structured training. Welcome to the Working Athlete Podcast. I am Venky and this is the Working Athlete Podcast. Here I talk to working athletes from all walks of life and experts from various sports to provide you with inspiration, training tips, time management and lifestyle advice. If this is something that interests you, please make sure you subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss any future episodes. Today, I'm not going to have any guests on. Today is a solo episode. We have been on this journey for 100 episodes. Yes, that is correct. The Working Athlete Podcast is 100 episodes old. Back in August, September 2020, the thought of starting a podcast came to me while I was suffering on the bike, and here I am after more than 100 weeks. My goal when I was starting was to produce one episode every week, and somehow I managed to do that continuously week after week. I think only because of the love that I am receiving from each and every one of you. It would not have been possible without your support. So thank you very much for your continuous support. I really appreciate that. Although I want to take this opportunity to talk about the genesis of this podcast a little bit more. The thought about this starting this podcast was born out of a very selfish reason. That selfish reason was for me to stay motivated, for me to stay on track, for me to stay healthy, stay on the bike, because bike has given me so much over the years. When I was 92 kilos and was suffering through illness, through asthma and stuff back in 2008. It was me getting on the bike that kind of liberated me of all those medications and got me fit again. But why I am saying that the podcast is born out of my selfish motive to stay on track is that through these 12 years I have gone through a lot of ups and downs. Every year I tend to gain weight, lose weight, lose a bit of motivation. More than motivation, it is my lack of discipline when it comes to food. My relationship with food has been quite erratic. I think as a kid I have always enjoyed gorging food. I don't know why, and I still do that. And that is kind of that has been my undoing almost every year, but I somehow pull through and try and get back and lose that weight that I've gained through all those excesses. So these 12 years I have gone through those ups and downs almost every year. And back in 2020, when I was going through one of those down phases where I gained weight and I lost the motivation, I was feeling quite depressed. It was always on the bike that I found myself again. So I got back on the trainer. I was suffering through one of those sweet spot intervals when this thought came to me. When I was thinking, why am I going through these ups and downs every year? Why can't I stay consistent and stay on track throughout? And I was not sure why that was happening. I know that it was something more than my love for food. So I was thinking, how can I stay on track? How can I stay consistent? Then the thought came to me that I have always done well by helping others do well. So I have always done well. Even in bike racing, I have always done well when I was the domestic. It was always through helping others that I got better. So that thought came to me saying, okay, I can probably help myself stay on track by helping others stay on track and stay motivated. And it was that thought that was the origin of the Working Athlete podcast. It was a very selfish thought that because I wanted to stay on focus, I wanted to stay on track, I wanted to stay focused, I wanted to be consistent through helping others stay consistent, through helping others stay motivated and on track, that the thought about the Working Athlete podcast came in. So who am I? Who are others like me? Others like me are working people trying to pursue a sport to stay healthy or to stay fit. Then the word came working athlete, right? And then immediately said, okay, why don't I start a podcast where I talk about all the issues that working athletes like me face? Why don't I talk to similar people who have gone through this journey and are doing well at work and sport? So that is the genesis of the Working Athlete podcast. It was born through that selfishness of me trying to stay focused and stay on track. This all happened, all these thoughts were as I was going through my sweet spot intervals on the trainer right here. Once I got off the trainer, I was very excited to quickly jot down my thoughts, and then the name the Working Athlete podcast came to me, and then immediately a sketch of the logo came to me, and the same day I sat down and designed that logo, the Working Athlete podcast. And I shared this thought with a few friends that are close to me, like Dr. Arvind, Bateja, Naveen John, and a few others, and they were equally excited for me, and they really liked the idea, and that I needed that validation as well, I guess, because does it make sense to does something like this make sense, was what I was trying to answer. And then I told myself that even if it is just for me, even if it is going to help just me, even if it is just me that I am listening to all these journeys of different working athletes, I will still benefit. If others benefit through this, that would be a bonus, because I needed to tell myself that, because I wanted to stay consistent just for my sake. So I promised myself that I will do this podcast and do an episode every week. And till date, I haven't missed one single week. It has not been easy. It has been tough at times. There was one particular time when my brother was not doing well, and I had to take him to a hospital and in hometown. But it was the weekend. After 3 days, we came back from the hospital, and it was the weekend. Back then, I was publishing an episode every Sunday, and it was Saturday night. We came back at 11 o'clock, but no one was going to ask if I missed an episode. But it was a promise for myself that I'm going to do an episode every week. So I sat down. I usually do a video and audio podcast, but that day I just did a audio only. My brother was sleeping in that room. I happened to carry my microphone with me, my laptop, and I just recorded an episode then and there. and published it at 12 midnight Sunday morning. So there were instances like that. It has not always been easy, but it was a promise that I made for myself that I wanted to keep. And today, the 100th episode, I am recording this on a Saturday. Although no one is going to ask, probably no one is going to miss if I miss an episode, but it is a promise that I've made for myself, and I'm going to keep that. Yeah, that was the genesis of the podcast, and it has been 100 episodes. There are so many learnings that I take from this journey so far. There are so many amazing people I got to sit and chat with. I really enjoy talking to people about in their endurance journeys, learning about their stories, the way they got better. Every person has a story, and there are some similarities across those stories, but they're never the same. That is what I understood so far, and there are some key threads that go through all those journeys, like the consistency aspect, that some of the things that I learned became mantras nowadays. Although I was following all those learnings that I am taking out of this podcast, I would be perfect, but it is not the case. I still am in the same journey. I'm still faltering, but it is definitely helping me pick myself up and continue to get better. So that has been a major takeaway for me, and I intend to continue to do this. But as I continue to talk to people and share their endurance journeys with you, I also want to try something else. I want to see if I can do topic-based episodes that are geared towards more technical aspects of sport on various subjects, right? There is a lot of information out there in the internet, but I will see if I can do a different take, a fresh perspective, maybe bring in an Indian or local flavor to it, if it can be of use to you, and more importantly, it will be of great value to me, because to be able to share to you, I should be learning all the time, right? So that is what I want to force myself into, to learn about a particular topic and to be able to share with you. So that is what I want to try. I don't know the frequency of those, but I will try and do those as well. On the occasion of the 100th episode, I asked on Instagram and Facebook if any of you have any questions or suggestions about podcast topics or podcast guests, and thanks for all of you who have responded to that. I am going to read out and try and respond to a few of those. Some of them can be short answers, some of them need to be complete episodes. So with that, let us take a look at the questions that you guys have asked. The first one is from Wild Singh. His question, I think he is Ganesh Singh. His question is, please do a podcast on cycling specific exercise like pre-ride, post-ride and the stretches. Yes, Ganesh, I will do that. Wild Singh on Instagram. Thank you for that question, Ganesh. I will do that. I will talk about cycling specific exercises and stretches, pre and post ride stretches, etc., that help the recovery process. I will work on an episode for that. One question came in from someone on Instagram with named _ Vidyasagar. So can we take cycling as a profession or career? Can we earn from that? I am not sure. No, I think let us be honest about it. I don't think we can take cycling as a profession or career unless you are exceptionally talented and world class. Even then, it is really, really, really difficult, right? If you just look at cyclists, pro cyclists who have retired, first of all, career itself is very short. The pro cyclists who retired after say 5-10 years as pros, what do? They have to go and find a job, regular job. Some of them get into media, cycling media, commentating and stuff like that. But other than that, you have to go and find a job or a business that to continue making a living. That is, once you get into cycling and get into a pro, earn a living as cyclist and then retire. But let us talk about just getting into professional cycling and making a career out of it. You have to be exceptionally talented, world class, and then find the right channels to make it to a pro continental team or pro team. So the path, at least for us Indians, it is not there right now. We a lot of riders go to national levels, and then beyond that, even to do well at Asian level, Asian championship level, it is very difficult. So the level is very, very high. So unless you can do well at nationals, then do well at Asian championships and stuff like that, you won't get noticed by any pro teams. And if you go to places like Belgium, like Naveen John does, and then do well in the races there, get results there, then you will get noticed by pro conti teams, right? So that is one way. And recently there is one guy who won a couple of stages in Belta. He what is his name? Wine, right? Jay Wine. He actually got noticed on Zwift races. He got noticed there, and his talent was noticed on Zwift virtual racing, and then he got picked up by pro conti team, and now he races. He's a pro. He's a cycling pro. So those are a couple of ways to go professional, but like I said, you got to be really, really be top notch, world class, to be honest. So that is what you need to do to earn from cycling, and it is not a very realistic goal for 99.999% of us. So that is that. But thank you for that question, Vidyasagar. Next, the question is from someone on Instagram with the handle the_J_Shri_Ram. How to improve average speed for ITT was his question. Very good question, Shriram. Thank you for that. But I'm going to take that in a separate episode. You got to ride consistent, but also have to train specifically for the distance and the course of your ITT to do well in ITT. So it's a very important topic. I will cover that in an episode separately. Next question is from Sunny Lonkar. Is the bike fit that important in cycling? He has a spelling mistake. I think bile fit he said, but it is bike fit. That is bike fit that important for cycling? In cycling is his question, Sunny Lonkar. Yes, bike fit is very important. Bike fit is very important. Why is that important? Because if you are if your bike doesn't fit you well, it can cause a lot of injuries. And in cycling we do it is a repetitive exercise, right? It is so lot of repetitive stress injuries can happen if the bike doesn't fit you well. Over a period of time, you can get used to a bike that is not that is not fit for you. I used a big bike for a long time, but I got used to it. But due to that, I picked up a lot of bad postures on the bike. I always hunch on the bike because that bike forced me to do that. So you can get used to a bike that is not fit well, but the bike fit is very important because it helps you avoid injuries. Also, it helps you become very efficient on the bike. That whatever power you are putting, whatever effort you are putting will be turning into the power that will move the bike forward. So instead of wasting the energy, it will help you go faster. So that way bike fit is very important in a couple of ways at least, to avoid injury and to get faster. Probably we will do a special episode about this as well, but for now that is my short answer. Right. The next question is by Sunny Lonkar again. What will be the future of Indian cycle racing? Will we have that much scope in cycling as in other country? That is a good question again. As I mentioned before, we are right now not very, at least the road scene of Indian cycling hasn't progressed much. It has progressed in terms of people getting better, but they are still yet to make mark at Asian level and stuff. But when it comes to cycling on track, that is track cycling, our guys are doing really well, especially at junior ranks, and those juniors are doing relatively well on the senior ranks now, right? So Indian cycling future right now is mostly in track cycling because that is where the focus of CFI is right now. Road racing and mountain biking, not so much. Mountain biking now more and more focus is being given there as well. There is a mountain biking cycling academy in Himachal that is aiming to improve talent, find talent and nurture them. So that, to answer your question, future of Indian cycling is on track or on track racing, but it is improving on the road racing aspect and MTB aspect, but it is going to take a lot of years, maybe decades even, to do well at Asian championships level and beyond. So that is that. The next question is by Sunny Lonkar. The next question is, last but not least, is NJ coming on 16th of this month to India for national trials? NJ is back from Belgium and he is going to take part at national games that is going to happen next month. That is October. 20 days from now is the national games. So that is his next goal. The national games happened back in 2015 and he was the ITT champion. So he is going to try and defend his title there. So that is that. The next question is, the Nelly thing on Instagram asked, what is the future of cycling in India for athletes in MTB and road discipline? I think we just touched upon that aspect. MTB and road discipline, that is what it is. There is a long way to go. It is on the upswing. It is improving, but there is a long way to go. The MTB academy that I mentioned is helping as well. So it will get there. Stronger athletes like Shivain and younger athletes are coming, and the level is going up, which is very encouraging. So next question is by Manjunath. Why bike components and frames are so costly in India? How can we bring frame from foreign countries? Yeah, that's a very good question, Manjunath. The because simply because of government policies, we have up to 40% customs duty on bikes and bike components. So it is going to be very, if we are looking for imported bikes and components, they are going to be costly because of the duties and everything. They themselves are costly even in foreign countries, but when it comes to importing them and paying those import duties, then you have to make a margin, for all the pain that the bike dealers and retailers are taking to make it available to you and me, right? So it is going to be costly. If you are able to travel, or if your friend is traveling, and then if you are able to carry a bike with you, you can probably get away with it saying it is a used bike. But if you buy a bike and ride a couple of times there, it is a used bike, so technically you are not doing anything illegal. So yeah, that is the only way to get around customs and duties, and probably get a decent bike. Having said that, nowadays the availability of the components and bikes is so much more, and so much better than when I started cycling, right? But it is costlier. It is what it is. We cannot escape that fact. The next question is Kumi underscore da on DA. Kumi underscore DA on Instagram asked gear for randonneering. I am not sure what that is about. I did not quite understand the question. Are you talking about gears that you need for doing randonneering well on a bike, or the bike itself and the components that you need and stuff like that? So if you are, but let me try anyway. If for randonneering you are looking at a bike that is more relaxed, not very aggressive, not a racing setup, some more of an endurance setup, slightly more upright, and so that you are able to ride longer distances more comfortably. Most of the randonaires, long ultra endurance riders that I know, tend to use very comfortable saddle. Some of them use a complete cutout saddle called infinity saddle and stuff like that. But it is probably a very broad subject. I will probably take an episode and probably cover that. So next question is Shashwat Dixit 31. Shashwat underscore Dixit 31 on Instagram asked cadence versus power. So probably this is a suggestion for a podcast episode. Thanks, Shashwat. I will cover that in a podcast episode. It is not cadence versus power so much as you are probably talking about what are the differences in doing high cadence versus mashing in the lower cadences, is what you are talking about, I guess. But I will address that in a podcast episode specific on the topic. It is always but to in a short answer, why most of the coaches or people suggest high cadence is because cycling is predominantly an aerobic sport, and if you are riding at high cadence, you are using your heart rate or your aerobic engine, basically your heart, versus when you are using lower gears or lower cadences and in high gears, you are more using your muscular endurance. Your muscles are getting stressed more, and it is much more easier to recover aerobically. Your heart is beating from the second you are born to till you die, right? So it is always beating, and it is very easy to recover from an aerobic effort, versus when it is a muscular effort, it is much more difficult to recover from a muscular effort. So that is why in high cadence is kind of suggested, but we will talk about this in another episode. So the next question is from Ashwin Murugesh on Instagram. He says, "Hi Venky, how do I start training for triathlon? What bike to choose? How many hours per week?" Yes. Ashwin, this is a very big question. This needs a special episode, but what bike to choose, how many hours per week, and all that are very subjective to your needs, and it starts from what is the when you talk about triathlon, there are so many distances. So short distance triathlons is a different sport when compared to long distance triathlon. The needs can be completely different. So depending on that, your bike choice and your training hours per week and stuff depends. For middle distance triathlon, which is 70.3, and then long distance triathlon, which is Ironman distance and above, the training needs are going to be different. Even probably the bike choice is going to be different, versus short distance triathlon, where you are not allowed to ride a triathlon bike in some of the shorter distance events. You can only ride road bike with aero bars at best. So all that is going to depend on your choice of event. We start with how do I start training for triathlon? If I have to address that question, it has to be, I would suggest getting a coach. There are a lot of online plans that you can probably pick up and try. A coach will be able to guide you much better than whatever online free training plans that you can find. So we will address that in another episode at length, but this is the shorter answer. Again, the next question is from Minimal Animal. He's talking about he just mentioned indoor training. So I guess this is a topic suggestion for an episode. Yes, I'm going to address that in a new episode. So the next question or funny comment is from Baba Crankmeister. He says his suggestion is probably for a podcast episode, working mechanic. So we actually covered bike shops before. We actually covered bike shops before, including Crankmeister, where we covered the journey of Pawan and Nikhil and Crankmeister as a bike shop. We talked about, we did an episode with Rohan Kinney of Bots, Bumps on the Saddle. And I intend to continue doing those, because bike shops and mechanics are incredibly important for us as a community, and every working athlete relies on their equipment being on the spot, working well. So working mechanics and working bike shops are really important. So I'm going to continue to do that and cover them as well in future episodes. The next question is Adi underscore 258 on Instagram asked, importance of structured training over just riding consistently. That is a very good question. I have to say, So, importance of structured training over just riding consistently. That is the question. Thanks, Adi, for that question. To begin with, riding consistently is everything, right? If you are able to ride consistently, that is the first step in cycling, or for that matter in anything you do. But if you are looking for if you are looking to get somewhere, say if you are looking to go to your friend's home, right, and you start from your home to reach your friend's home, you will need a route map, right? You will have an idea. If you know the route, you will follow that route and reach your friend's destination. But if you don't know the route, you will use something like a Google Maps to find the route to get there. In either case, you are following a certain route. So I kind of think that structured training would be that route between where you are now and where you want to go. If you are training for an event like a tour of Nilgiris, or if you are training for an event at BBCH or bar, a time trial or a road race, if you want to do and if you are untrained, and if you want to train yourself to do well in the at a particular event, the route from where you are to where you want to go is what I kind of compare it to a structured training. Instead, if you kind of wander, just riding without any goal, if you just are going for a stroll in the park, if you don't have any destination per se in mind, if you want to just enjoy a walk, you can enjoy it. So there is no hard and fast rule saying that you need to train. Everyone needs structured training. There's nothing like that. Just riding itself could be very enjoyable. That is how we all started, right? But if you want to do well at some events, or in terms of your fitness, you want to be somewhere, you have to it will help, and let me not say you have to, it will help to have a nice, clearly defined, structured training plan. So that is, I hope that answered your question, but we can talk more about it, in another episode where we talk about training for ITT and stuff like that. So the next question is Udipta Kalita. How to begin your triathlon training for someone who do not have any guide or friend whom to reach out to? That's a good question. Whom to reach out to? You have to reach out to a coach. There are many coaches out there. My good friend, Dipankar. There is Anubhav Karmakar. There is there are so many triathlon coaches nowadays, right? So reach out to a coach. There are so many coaches available. Do a simple Google search and reach out to a coach so that he can help you guide. The next suggestion is from my good friend Vinoli of Triley Coaching. Okay, so for the question, Udipta Kalita, here is an answer for you. Triley Coaching is another option that you can look at. Vinoli is a triathlon coach and triathlete out of Chennai. If you want help with triathlon coaching, you can reach out to her as well. And at Vinoli, thanks for the suggestion. She is suggesting, not sure if you have interviewed Mayura Shivalkar, she and her son completed Ironman Kazakhstan. Both got qualified for World Championships. She declined. Also, she is a cancer survivor. Wow, I haven't interviewed Mayura yet. Thanks for the suggestion, Vinoli. I am going to reach out to her. Probably take your help to reach out and. Will interview. It looks like she has a very inspiring story to tell. I would love to have her on the Working Athlete podcast and share her journey with our other working athletes. Thanks again for that suggestion. And the next question is pedaling in circles or natural and auto selected stroke. Sanket 0790 on Instagram is asking this question: pedaling in circles or natural and auto selected stroke. For me the answer is I don't know about pedaling in circles. At one point in one perspective it is very efficient, but research has suggested recent research has suggested that it doesn't really make all that difference. I'm sorry that I don't have that research to share with you right now, but I will find that and probably cover that in future episode. For a short answer is natural auto selected stroke. That is that. The next question is I think that is it. We have addressed all the questions, looks like, and all the questions and suggestions. Thank you for sharing that. I'm really thankful for your continued support for the podcast. I am glad to hear the feedback that it is helping you. We can never get enough of the praise and positive feedback, so keep it coming. But I am going to continue doing this. The 100 is just the start. I have a long way to go. I am very poor at speaking to a camera to begin with, but I'm trying to get better at it. I will continue to work on that and continue to improve. And thanks for putting up with whatever quality audio video episodes that I've been putting out so far, to kind of reward myself and probably reward all the audience of the Working Athlete podcast. I kind of invested in a camera. Till now I was using a GoPro. It was serving well, but it was wanted to improve the quality a little bit more and invested in a camera. And I'm constantly trying to look at why camera, because I am putting these episodes both on YouTube as well as on podcast platforms. So that is why a camera I'm always investing in audio gear that helps me get the audio quality better. So I'm doing what I can with whatever little resources I have to get good quality episodes out there for you and me to enjoy. Thanks again for your continuous support. I really appreciate it. And see you next week with another guest, another episode number 101. Until then, keep listening, keep consistently riding, running, or whatever you are doing, and please hit that subscribe button and enjoy.